G'day, year sevens. All right, so this is our second lesson on integers. We're doing exercise 4B and we are looking at adding integers. Actually, we're looking at both adding and subtracting integers, really. Now, to start off with, we're looking at something that's a little bit weird because sometimes when you are dealing with adding and subtracting integers, you will get two signs. And when I say signs, I'm talking about plus and minus signs. You will get two signs in a row. For example, you might have a problem that says, what is 6 minus plus 7? Or minus 6 plus 5. And this won't make heaps of mathematical sense to you at the moment, but I promise you down the track it'll start to make a lot more sense. You sort of just have to learn the rules before you start to understand what it really means, okay? So, to begin with, we've got a little diagram here, okay? This is what you need to remember. Now, two positive signs in a row turns into a single positive sign. Two negative signs in a row also turns into a single positive sign. And now any combination of one plus and one minus, whether it's plus minus or minus plus, they both turn into a single minus sign. Now, how weird is that? Now, one funny way that some people like to remember this is if you consider a plus sign, a positive, to be a friend, makes sense, doesn't it? Positive friends are positive things, and a negative sign to be an enemy, because I guess enemies are negative things. Hopefully we don't have too many enemies, but then you can think of it like this. A friend of a friend is always going to be a friend. Now, an enemy of an enemy is also going to be your friend. Because if you have an enemy, and that enemy has an enemy, then that enemy is likely to be your friend. Kind of makes sense. Kinda. Now, a friend of an enemy, well, that's your enemy. And an enemy of a friend is also your enemy. Now, if you want my personal opinion on this, it's kind of stupid because it's actually just a hell of a lot easier to remember the combinations as they are. But some people find that would call it an analogy, which is a type of comparison, actually makes them understand what those combinations mean a little better. But anyway, moving on. All right, so let's do some practice questions and we'll start understanding what this is all about. Simplify the following expressions by replacing two signs with one where appropriate. And then we have 4 different maths problems. We're not being asked to evaluate to find the answer, to calculate. We're being asked to simplify those sums, those expressions, by looking to see where there are any signs next to each other, any instances where you've got two signs doubled up. And they have to be touching, and we're going to replace them with the appropriate single sign. All right, question 1. Minus 3 minus plus 5. Well, that equals minus 3, and then we look at our diagram. A minus sign and a plus sign can be replaced by a single minus sign. So we go back to our question and we rewrite minus 3 minus plus 5 as minus 3 minus 5. Okay? And we're not being asked to find the answer, we're just being asked to do that single step, just for practice. All right, 2 minus 4 plus 1. Well, 2 minuses should be replaced by a plus sign. So this becomes 2 plus 4 plus 1. Pretty straightforward, even if it might not make a whole lot of sense to you at the moment. Okay, question 3. Plus minus 7 plus 2. Well, a plus next to a minus turns into a minus. So this equals minus 7 plus 2. And finally, 2 plus plus 2 plus minus 1. Well, plus plus becomes a single plus, so we get 2 plus 2, and then our plus minus becomes a single minus. 2 plus 2 minus 1. Okay? So it's a straightforward process to follow, even if you don't fully understand the maths of what's going on yet. But that will come. All right, so moving on to adding and subtracting directed numbers and actually coming up with an answer, actually evaluating the answer. All right, now it says there, as soon as an expression or sum has been simplified so that it only has single signs between numbers, which is what we just did, it is ready to be evaluated, which means calculated. All right, so here we have an example. -3 plus 7. All right, now what we're going to do is we are going to use the number line, all right? And we introduced this last lesson. This is where all the integers live, okay? We're going to use the number line to evaluate this, this sum. So, -3 plus 7. Now I've got this stupid little elf. You'll have to forgive me. Don't worry, I don't think you're in kindergarten. I just like drawing silly drawings. Our little elf, let's call him Marvin the Maths Elf, even though you're all cringing chronically right now. So Marvin is pointing at -3. So the first number is our starting point. All right, I'm going to change color for a moment. So that's why there is a dot at -3. Now, you can see that Marvin is running towards the right, and he says that he's running 7 steps towards the right because this instruction here says +7. And plus means to go in the right direction, towards the right-hand side. Okay, so starting at -3, we do 7 leaps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And our destination, as Marvin is telling us here, is 4, which is our final answer. So -3 plus 7 equals 4. If my stylus will work. There we go. And I know this already to some of you, this might start seeming a little unnecessary using this number line because some people start to picture these in their heads very, very quickly. Some people take a little bit longer, which is absolutely fine. But I'm going to keep using the number line for the time being. But eventually you'll be able to do this just in your head. All right. All right. Here we have another example. +5 or +5 minus 9. So the +5 tells us where to begin, and Marvin is pointing there. -9 means that Marvin has to run 9 steps to the left, because minus means go towards the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the final destination is the answer. So -4. And it is as simple as that. Okay, so it's time now to put everything together that we've learnt today and do 4 simple problems. The first step is that we have to simplify our sums, our expressions. So wherever we see 2 signs next to each other, we have to replace them with 1 sign, okay? And then we have to use our number line to evaluate what the answer is. So there's 2 steps. We should have 2 equal signs lined up directly underneath one another in our setting out, okay? All right, so here we go. Now I'm going to zoom in actually. -1 minus -5 equals, well, the first thing I need to do is simply replace the 2 minus signs with a plus sign. I won't scroll up to the diagram, but remember you have that at the top of the page. It tells you how to change any 2 signs into 1 sign, and that's something you really need to memorize. Okay. So we do a second equal sign. Now we look at our number line, -1 plus 5. So here's -1 plus 5. So 5 steps to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I end up at +4. So my answer is 4. And I won't bother putting a plus sign in front of it, although I could if I wanted to. Okay, question 2. -2 plus -4 equals -2 plus minus becomes a -4. So now we have -2 minus 4. So we look at our diagram, our number line. -2 is our starting point, and -4 means go 4 units to the left. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we arrive at our answer, which is -6. All right, guys, you're doing great. 2 more questions, and then we're done. +3 plus +2. By the way, plus and positive have the same meaning. Minus and subtract, minus and negative, same meaning. Don't get caught up being confused by those two, okay? So it's the same thing, essentially. All right, here we go. First step is to replace any 2 signs that are touching with a single sign. Plus means plus. And now +3 plus 2, well, we don't even need to look at the diagram for that. That's just 3 plus 2. We've been doing that since prep. 5, there we go. Nice and easy, that one. And lastly, +5 minus +1, or +5 minus +1. So that equals +5 minus 1, because minus plus should be replaced by a minus. So 5 minus 1. Well, that's another one we don't need the diagram for, isn't it? 5 minus 1 is 4. We all know that. But just to show you it works, we start at 5. Minus means go to the left. 1 means 1 unit. Go 1 unit to the left, and we arrive at our answer. And Bob's your uncle. All right, guys, I hope that helps you out. That should be enough to do the exercises that are in your home learning schedule. Okay, hit me up with any emails whenever you like, and I'll see you next time.